What's going on, fitness coaches? Welcome to another episode of the Change Lives Make Money Online Trainer podcast. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about what an unhealthy relationship looks like. What does it look like to be in a relationship with your partner that is unhealthy, that is not productive, that is not conducive to growth?
Let's just rewind like 5 years and exactly where we were.
Okay, go into it.
I think there's so many things that contribute to an unhealthy relationship. I think one of the first things is, how do you feel about the relationship? Like if you're constantly feeling uncertainties in the relationship, if you're constantly questioning the relationship, like that feeling alone, you don't even need a justification for that. Do you know what I mean? Like that's a sign of an unhealthy relationship. I think that one of the really big things is when one partner decides to embark on like a self-development journey or a fitness journey and the other person stays stagnant. That's a really good sign that like you're probably growing apart.
I think that's probably the number one.
Uh-huh.
I think when people get into relationships, they get into relationships because they feel a certain emotion towards a certain person. And like that, like loving emotion that we feel towards somebody is like sometimes can blind us to the actual truth of who they are as a person, especially when like you're in the honeymoon phase and you're just like in this relationship where you're like everything that you see in the other person is just like, you're just like, I love this person. I just love them. But then it's almost like, I feel like when you love somebody, you can see them for who they could be, not who they actually are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it's like, and like I think that's why people stay in relationships where they're actually not happy, is because even though they're unhappy in the relationship, they're like, I see who my partner could be.
Mm-hmm.
And because we see who our partner could be, we end up staying in the relationship.
Yeah.
But my definition of something that is unhealthy is I don't want to look at a relationship for something that's unhealthy. I want to look at like a plant.
Yeah.
Like if a plant isn't growing, it's fucking dying. It's decaying. Think about like nature. Like if you think about like something like a swamp where there's no running water through it and it's just like festering with disease because it just stays in the same place versus something like a river that's like constantly has water flowing and like the water is healthy and it's natural because it's like always in motion. Like I think that my definition of an unhealthy relationship would be one that is stagnant.
Yeah. And sometimes it's not well, I guess in a sense, if one person is stagnant, the other is not, the relationship stays stagnant.
100%.
Yeah.
100%, because it's like you're an average of the people that you spend the most time with.
Yeah.
And so even if you are on your own self-development journey, you're on your own, like, I'm going to fucking lose weight, I'm going to get in shape, I'm going to be my very best. If your partner doesn't join you at some point or another on that journey, you will not resonate with each other.
Yeah.
Because your mindset's going to change, your habits are going to change, rituals are going to change, the things that you do to satisfy yourself are going to change. And so like, I think like stagnation is like, unless both people are working on the relationship and working on themselves, I don't think it's healthy.
Yeah. And I think that it's important to mention that sometimes people's self-development journeys look different. So if you and your partner are both overweight, okay, and then one partner decides like, I'm fucking done with this, the other partner stays overweight. And one partner's like, I'm going to eat better, I'm going to go to the gym, right? And then partner number two is like, well, I don't want to go to the gym. I don't resonate with the gym. It's like, okay, well, move your body. Okay, we'll eat better. So it's like your self-development journeys might look, the point I'm getting at is that your self-development journeys might look different, but you're both developing at the same time. You're becoming better, you're experiencing life better. And that's what's really, really, really important. You don't have to be on the exact same journey, but you need to be on that journey, period.
I personally think, again, this is just my opinion, I'm not a relationship expert, but I personally think that my definition of a healthy relationship is where like me as myself, as an individual, like I commit to working on self for the rest of my life. Like I commit to like becoming the best version of me. I commit to being a higher level man, developing my finances, developing my like fucking social skills, developing my body, developing my business IQ. Like I commit to that for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And then I want a partner that is committed to their own self-development journey in their own way for the rest of their life. And like, again, self-development could be different for everybody. But it's like maybe your self-development journey involves yoga. Maybe it involves going for a walk. Maybe it involves spiritual journeys, whatever it is. But you're working on yourself. I'm working on myself. And then together, we come together and we decide that we are going to work on the relationship together as like higher developed versions of ourselves every single day.
I agree. I think working on the relationship together is really important because I think a lot of people embark on self-development journeys or their religious beliefs change or they just grow apart. Do you know what I mean? Like it doesn't mean that like when one person is growing and the other person's growing in a different way, that means that they're going to be together forever. I think sometimes people grow apart. Someone, I don't know the name, but he was talking about in his book about how him and his wife just parted like peacefully because they were on different self-development journeys. It wasn't that he outgrew her, she outgrew him. They just grew in different directions. Do you know what I mean? So I think a really important piece of a healthy relationship is that you guys are continuously working on your vision together. Because if you get so, and that's why I love that you said, and then you come together and it's how can we work on the relationship? Because we can become so obsessed with our own journeys that we forget that we're also on a journey with this person. And this person is like adding to our quality of life and our life experience.
I also think that like when it comes to a relationship, so like I'm working on myself, you're working on yourself, we work on the relationship together. Like part of working on the relationship together is compromise. Because there are some things that you like to do that I fucking don't like to do, like yoga.
Yeah, and I fucking hate scary movies.
So it's like, but it's like the compromise aspect of it is like, what, so like, I know the things that give you value, you know the things that give me value. And sometimes we just do those things, even though it doesn't necessarily give us value because we know it gives our partner value and it gives the other person value. So like, I think that that's like a big part of like what makes relationships works is like, I know what works for me, you know what works for you, we know what works for each other. And sometimes like what works for each other is like, we have to compromise sometimes.
And when he says compromise, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's not compromising on your core values. It's not compromising on who you are as a human being. It's compromising on an activity.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because like there's a difference. If someone's like, I compromise my entire self and now I'm a shell of a human, but like I have this relationship, it's like cool, but you don't have anything. Because if you're not happy with yourself, then to me, like you're just not. There's what are we doing?
No, I agree, and I think that like I think this is another thing that people struggle with immensely is like. Most people I feel don't actually stay in alignment with what they actually need. And they don't even know what they need. So like most people are looking to their partner to help them solve an issue that they haven't even solved themselves. It's like, and this is something I used to struggle with in my previous relationships. Like I would need my partner to validate me because I had abandonment issues with my mom. And so I would need my partner to tell me like, it's okay. Like, I love you. I'm not going to leave. I would need that. And even in the start of our relationship, I needed that because I didn't know how to give that to myself. And I had a lot of shit that I hadn't worked through myself. And so I was looking to my partners in the past to solve that problem for me. But like, for me, it's like, I had to get good with me and I had to validate myself and I had to give myself the love and respect that I deserve. And then when I get it from the relationship, it's just a bonus, but I no longer need it. Like, it's not like I need to hear that from you. Like I can give that validation to myself. So I think you need to know like what, like in a relationship, you can't just look at your partner to make changes to make the relationship better. You have to look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, like, what part am I playing in this relationship not being exactly where I want it to be? Like, what part am I playing? Like, how am I showing up with my own abandonment issues or my own fear of like, you know what I mean? It's like, how does my emotions play into this?
I think like at the end of the day, and this is like not something you obviously want to think about, but you do like always have yourself and you can't say that you're going to have someone forever and ever and ever. So if such a big part of you relies on someone else to heal that part of you, then that's a problem. That's a problem. And again, like you said, it's not to say that those things aren't great and those things aren't things that you should practice in a relationship. But if you're relying on someone, like if you're like, I can't, you got to be able to give it to yourself as well. At the end of the day, you have to be able to give it to yourself as well. You can't rely on your partner to be like that video we did, where it's like you can't rely on your partner to be your therapist and like your dumping ground and you're this and this and this. And then all of a sudden, like when you guys are together, it's not just being able to enjoy each other's company. And I think at the end of the day, you choose to be with someone because you enjoy their company. I don't understand. And I think because I was in a relationship where I stayed for 2 to 3 years. So I guess a part of me did understand staying with someone just because you have kids. But like, that's just like, had I stayed in the relationship that I knew was so, so, so wrong, I would still be in the same place that I was 10 years ago. I wouldn't be growing. Right. And so me leaving that relationship actually helped me become like who I am today. Whereas so many people are not in a relationship. Like you ask someone like, why are you with your partner? And I would bet there's many, many relationships that we have kids together. We've been together for 10 years. We've done this. And it's like, all those things are irrelevant. Like that should never be on your list of reasons why I'm with my partner. We've been together for X, Y, Z amount of time. We have this many kids together. It should always be like, I'm with this person because I like see their potential. They're living up to their potential, and I just enjoy being with them. We have fun together. We laugh together. I love this person. We grow together. This person like compliments me. Not one with them because like what other choices do I have?
And so like, let's say you're in a relationship right now and you like are actually not happy with how you feel, like how you feel on a day-to-day basis. Like on a day-to-day basis, I'm like not happy with how I'm feeling. Like I feel like if that's the case, then the first step is to have an honest conversation with your partner about it. Being like, yo, like, you know, we used to be good. We used to laugh all the time. We used to want to do things together. We used to want these things. And now we no longer want those things. Now we're not doing things together. Now we're not spending time with each other. Like this to me is not a standard that I'm willing to accept in a relationship. So like we actively together need to solve this problem. Like, do you feel the same way? And I feel like having that like open, honest conversation with your partner is like definitely step one. Because I feel like people listening to this will be like, oh, like I don't have a good relationship with my partner, so maybe I should just leave.
Yeah.
And I just like, I think that if you're just like, okay, I'm going to peace out. Like you're literally just going to take the version of you that you are right now. You're just going to take that into the next relationship and you will just repeat the same pattern over and over and over again. And I know that because I did it.
Yeah.
I literally was like going from relationship to relationship, hoping that I'm like, this is literally what I did. I'm not even exaggerating. Every relationship that I went into, I tried to make it last a little bit longer than the last one. And if I lasted a little bit longer than the last one, I classified as successful because I used to sabotage every relationship I got into. But then as me and you got into a relationship, and then I got like a year and a half in, which is the longest I'd ever been in a relationship, I started fucking sabotaging it. And then I realized I'm like, I can either stop the pattern now and fix it. Or I just leave. And then the next person I go to, I hope that I stay in a relationship for 2.5 years.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah, I remember when we got to 1.5 years and it was like fucking bombs went off and I'm like, what is fucking happening? I think another thing to add to that is like, if you think back to why you were with this person in the first place, and you're like, our relationship was created from a place of love. It was. I wasn't like, our relationship started because I wanted Brian's fucking money. Our relationship started because I was like, oh, he's really hot, but his personality sucks. It was like, oh, he's like the full package deal. So like, where our relationship started was love and enjoyment. Like we just loved being around each other. We loved talking to each other on the phone. We loved going to the mall and doing stupid shit. We just liked being around each other. So if your relationship started from a place of love, it is definitely worth working to try and find that again. Because if you had it once, you can have it again. And maybe you don't. So like you said, it's not just about walking away. But if you go back to the day that your relationship started, why did your relationship start? For example, oh, well, it started because I was pregnant. Well, that's not a reason to stay with somebody. Were you pregnant and in love with this person? Or were you just staying together because, oh, I'm pregnant now? What the fucking book says is that we got to get married and we should probably have more kids. And now all of a sudden I'm in a relationship that never even started from a place of love. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, it does make sense.
Yeah.
So like I feel like so what you're saying is like, if it started from a place of love, then let's get back to there. But if you're saying like, did your relationship start off for the right reasons? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm trying to say. And I doesn't mean that if it started off for completely different reasons that you might fall in love through that. But I would say there's a lower probability of being with somebody for an intention outside of, I actually just genuinely like this person's energy. Right? Like I would say that's like a broken relationship. Like relationships, like coming together in a union should be coming together because you enjoy that person and that person makes you better. It shouldn't be for their money. It shouldn't be because someone's pregnant. It shouldn't be because your parents think so. You get forced into relationships. Your parents love your partner, but you're feeling like really out of alignment. So you decide to get married because your parents told you to, not because you actually love this person. So I think the root of where your relationship started is probably has a lot of the answers to the questions that you're looking for in your relationship.
And so I'm going to come back to this idea that like, if you're in a relationship where you're like, I'm not happy with how things are going, I think step number one is to like have that honest conversation.
Yeah.
And I think the honest conversation comes with your partner being like, yo, like, I'm not happy with where we're at right now. Like, I feel like we could be doing so much better. Like, I feel like we could be so much happier. I feel like we could be doing so many more things together. I feel like we could be like building our fucking life together. And that conversation, that's like the first honest part of the conversation that needs to be had. I think the second honest part of the conversation that needs to be had is like, you need to go look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, how am I contributing to this unhealthy relationship? Like, you might look at yourself and be like, I need my partner to love me more. I need this from my partner. I need that from my partner. Okay, but what does your partner need? And are you giving that to them? And also, like, so that's part of it, is like, what part are you playing in this dynamic? And I also think, like, what insecurities do you have, or what past traumas do you have, or what past things do you have in your life that are causing you to show up in the way that you are and not give your partner the version of you that they deserve?
Can I offer an alternative perspective that is pretty much the same, but just a little bit different?
Yeah.
I almost feel like you should have the hard conversation with yourself first. Because if you have that conversation with yourself first and you ask yourself what part you play, you're going to go to the conversation with your partner with a better understanding of what you did to get here in the first place. Whereas if you go to your partner and you just are like, I don't like where we're at, I don't like this, but you haven't asked yourself what you did. Do you know what I mean? Wouldn't it be, I'm just thinking like, I think that I actually do things where I come to you first, but I think there's a lot of things that I could sit with myself first and really be like, where are you contributing, Kirsten? Because you're not an angel in all of this. And that's what kind of made me think, well, maybe it's better to have a conversation with yourself first so that you come from a more peaceful, loving, and understanding place.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I also think, because, like, again, we're not relationship experts. No. We're just speaking on what's worked really well for us.
Yeah.
And what's worked well for me is like asking myself what part I played, but also, like, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I usually come to you first.
Yeah.
I'm usually like, I'm not happy with how things are fucking going.
Yeah.
And then through that, we have a discussion on like what we need. And I think, again, I don't think there's a right or wrong way to fucking skin a cat.
Yeah.
But if I think about the reference experience for like when we've had really difficult conversations, I check with myself and I'm like, I'm not happy. And then I go to you and I'm like, I'm not happy. And then we're like, we need to talk about this. And then we figure it out. Be like, okay, what am I doing that's causing this not to work? And what are you doing that's causing this not to work? Like, what do we need to solve? Like, and sometimes like a lot of people ask us, like somebody asked me today, they're like, how did you guys establish like a work-life balance? And I'm like, a lot of fuck ups.
A lot.
Like a lot of fuck ups. A lot of like, we were on our phone 24/7, 7 days a week. And then one of us was like, I'm not fucking happy anymore because we're always on our phones. And so then boundaries started coming to play.
Yeah.
But I think it's like, I think at the end of the day, the core message underneath all of this is like, we just communicate.
And I think we communicate, and I think we can both see what we can be together. Like, I can see us in 5 years. I can see us in 10 years. I can see us in 15 years. So even if we're not in a perfect place right now, I can see us working through that. If you can't see your partner understanding where you're coming from, if you can't see your partner doing, I think that's a really big problem, right? You need to be able to see the vision.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Right? Because like we've been in like good places, bad places, but I think even throughout I don't want to say bad because I don't like the word bad, but in places that weren't harmonious.
Yeah.
And I think we can both always see, okay, there's like light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
But neither of us are going to be in a relationship that's constant arguing, constant fighting, constant same shit over and over and over again. Both of us are at a place. And I think when we both got together, we weren't. I think I put up with a lot that I probably wouldn't now, and you as well. If I pulled some of the shit I did back when we first like got together, you would leave and I would leave. So I think we're at a place now where it's like we just wouldn't be in a relationship that wasn't growing. We would leave.
So if you're listening to this right now and this is speaking to you on some level and you feel like you need to have some more conversations about this, if you feel like you and your partner need to do the work together and you need to come together and you need to have these honest conversations about what you both need in the relationship so that you can make the relationship better. If you do feel like you're like, I'm in a place right now where like I want to fight for my partner and I want to work on my partner, then you should come to our couples retreat in Utah.
120%. We're doing a couples retreat in Utah, November 15th and 16th.
Yep.
You're going to get intimate time with myself and Brian. You're going to be surrounded by power couples who we are inspired by. So, and you get a trip out of it too.
Yeah.
It's a win-win.
Yeah. So come hang out with us in Salt Lake City, November 15th. So we're less than 30 days out. You guys can come hang out with us in Salt Lake City. There's going to be a Friday dinner. We're going to network and connect. And then there's also going to be a full Saturday where like we literally have these conversations all day. So it's going to be 4 hours straight of just having conversations about your relationship.
Yeah.
And like, I think that if you want to be a power couple,
like
if you both want to be powerful in the relationship, then you need to come together and work on it together.
Yeah.
It's like, if you want to be a power couple, then you need to work on it together.
Yeah.
So I think that's like, if you guys are ready for that, if you're interested, you can send us a DM on Instagram that says Utah.
Yeah.
On Instagram, whether that's Kirsten's Instagram or my Instagram, and we can give you more details. We've already got, I think there's like 20 people that we've got, and there's more couples. Keaton said he's got like about 100 or so.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
It's going to be, you guys, it is going to be an epic weekend. So if you're looking to, like Brian said, grow with your partner, and I mean, even if you're single and you just want to like understand what type of partner you want to attract, message myself or Brian, Utah on Instagram, and we'd be happy to kind of send you details on the retreat we're co-hosting.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you guys have the best day of your entire life. Where do they find you, Kirsten?
The Real Kirsten Mark on Instagram.
You guys can find me at Brian Mark on YouTube, Change Lives, Make Money Online Trainer Podcast, or The Real Brian Mark on Instagram. Deuces. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. Hopefully you got some value. If you did, and you want to learn more about how me and my team can help you scale your online fitness business to $10,000 a month, DM me 10K on Instagram at The Real Brian Mark for more information, and I'll reach out to you to see if I can help you grow an online coaching business.